Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today, I have the good fortune to be joined by a long-time friend, Lee Milteer. Lee, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Seth, I was thrilled to be on the show with you. You always give such great advice. So thank you so much for having me.
It is our pleasure. So let's dive right in. You have often talked about the power of mindset. What pivotal moment in your life reshaped your mindset, and how did that affect your success? Because you've had one heck of a journey.
Let's see. There were so many important moments. Silly moment that pops in my head. When I was in high school, there was only about 600 kids in high school, and John Yates in the middle of nowhere in Chuckytuck, Virginia. But anyway, the principal came out and asked the group who would like to volunteer to go sell the yearbook. When I tell you 600 kids of crickets, no one raised their hand but me in the back of the room going, yes, get out of school. I'm all there. How can I go? And I realized that my mindset of wanting to get the hell out of Dodge, which, to me, school was prison because you didn't get to study the things you actually wanted to study. But I realized that one moment when I raised that hand and I discovered that I had this great selling ability, that I was not afraid of people, and that my mindset was so different from everybody else's there who just wanted someone to gift them things and control them. And I was completely different, which set me on a road of complete freedom in life, because from that moment on, everything in school to me was this question of like, this is great, you're teaching me this. How can I monetize this? I'm going to be an entrepreneur. How can I make a living from this? How can I use this? And it completely scared them to death that someone would speak up. So that is many things, but the real thing I think that really shifted my life completely, my husband sadly got murdered on Christmas Eve a long time ago. And it was the most devastating thing to realize all your plans and everything that you thought was going to happen in the future, suddenly was not going to happen. And that everything about my life had to be that I would create it. And I lived in the library for, I'm going to say, several months, just walking around trying to recover from grief. And I found the self-help section, which I, of course, dug into like, someone starving to death. And I realized that this was the most important thing of life, is our mindset. But I have a quote I want to share with you. I think is very important. The core belief that people have to have in life, in our business, entrepreneurs, is your mindset is either your greatest asset or your greatest liability. And the truth is, you can't market effectively from a place of fear, doubt, and survival mode. And if you don't have a mindset that deals with all the tragedies and the challenges and things every day, your mindset will actually make you broke.
You have gone on to work with some of the biggest names in the business, speak on some of the biggest stages, serve some of the biggest companies in the world. How do we, and at all levels, you've talked in a number of your books about mindset and about mindset being an ally or an enemy. How do you help business owners, thought leaders, entrepreneurs when they're saying, hey, my brain is trying to trick me and it's going negative and it's going into that fear-based mindset? How do I, Monday morning, how do I overcome that? How do I tell it, hey, shut up, this is lots of awesome things are happening? How do I convince it when it doesn't want to be convinced?
Okay, so let's go by first, but let's define mindset first. Okay, so first, mindset is actually, and this should help everybody, garbage in, garbage out. Your internal operating system, which is your mindset, determines all your perceptions, your decisions, your resilience. And here's the thing, when an entrepreneur on a Monday morning wakes up with all the negative fears and doubts, you really have to just stop yourself, take a pattern interrupt, pause, get somewhere that's not in front of your computer, preferably outside, and ask yourself, what the hell have I been thinking for the last 30 minutes? Because it's all been gloom and doom. I'm a victim. The world is not paying attention to me. I'm not doing the right things. I mean, it's just gloom, gloom, gloom. And you know this. This is an actual true fact everyone should write down. We are self-fulfilling prophecies. Garbage in repeatedly will produce fear, doubt, insecurity, the nail scratching on the chalkboard as you're falling down into the, fear-based stuff. And so it really, you have to have a pattern interrupt, and you could do all kinds of things. And by the way, just because I teach this stuff doesn't mean that I don't literally fall into the same hole that I'm telling everybody how to get out of. I just have to use my own strategies. Sometimes I actually have to go read my own books. I swear to God, I have to do that. So it's a matter of, a pattern interrupt, whether it's a walk in the woods, playing with your animals or your kids, or doing something. But one of the things that I've done that has been very helpful, and I don't have it in front of me at the second, is I have a big, thick book of what I call my victory book. And that means letters from some of these famous people that you're speaking of that I've worked for, are people that have written me and said, hey, I was at the darkest part of my entire life and I read your book and it gave me the tools to get out. But I kind of remember why I'm on earth. And my purpose in life is really to remind people about their own power and not to fall into the media. By the way, I think the media has completely screwed entrepreneurs badly. The relentless how bad things are, they're going to get worse. This is bullshit. It is not true whatsoever. We are entering a phase of life. We can make it as good as we want to. So break free from the patterns of I'm not doing well and just start to, you know, put on your kick-ass cowboy boots, whatever that means to you. Put on your, I'm not going to follow the rules here hat, and decide today I'm going to make a change. I'm going to do something. And for me, if I'm depressed, all I have to do is the smallest action towards something. Like gather my information on a podcast, or write a little something in an e-zine, or just some progress whatsoever pulls me out of that negativity. And everybody can do these things. It's not like we have to go reinvent the wheel. We all know to do them. It's just social media, the media, regular mainstream media, really does absorb our life. And, I also want to remind people about fixed and growth mindsets. A fixed mindset is someone has told us information about something and we kind of believe it. A growth mindset is, in spite of this fact, I'm still going to do the right thing. I'm going to pull the right triggers. I'm going to connect with the right people, and I'm going to take some action. And sooner or later, that action will actually help us.
How about that? What limiting beliefs do you see the most frequently among entrepreneurs? And you've started to allude to some of the ways to break free of those.
I think the most limiting our self-image and belief system, like entrepreneurs wrestle with imposter syndromes, fear of rejection, perfectionism. Uh, when you find this, I'm having this imposter syndrome, and everybody has it, fear of rejection, we all have that. And perfectionism is really the death of entrepreneurs. You know, when you start taking charge of the caliber of information that goes in your head, listen to one of your podcasts, listen to one of my podcasts, pick up a book that has helped you in the past that you have marked, like I have a number of books that I go back to. The Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol. I don't even know what century that was written in, but let me tell you, all I have to do is read a little bit of, Claude Bristol of The Magic of Believing, or, any kind of Dan Kennedy book, or, I even, as I jokingly said, I even read my own books because, when I wrote them, I was in a completely positive state of mind. I'm not in a positive state of mind, so I read those. Uh, Think and Grow Rich. I mean, Psycho-Cybernetics. I mean, there's just so many what I would call truth books that you can't read these more than 5 or 6 minutes without feeling a jump in your energy field. So, of course, you need to do that. And I think it's very important that we remember that there are strategies and tools everywhere, but without the right mindset, they don't work. And remember, when you do something positive, like even connect with your own mentor, that creates confidence. And confidence always gives you bold action in your life. So without mindset, your hesitation kills your momentum. Entrepreneurs really need to make fast decisions. They have to recover from setbacks. They need to embrace risk with less emotional attachment. Literally, I always say to myself, I'm getting ready to do this new thing. Two things are going to happen. It's going to work or it's not. And if it doesn't work, I learn something. So I have a slew of, graves behind me of things that didn't work. But what I do is also have this optimistic view of life, is that we are the sort of chosen ones on earth. We're the entrepreneurs, we're the free thinkers, we're the people who really make a difference in the world. We're a different breed of people. We're not civilians. And so we cannot allow small little being human occasionally set us back from our paths of greatness.
Amen to that. You've been an advocate as long as I've known you for integrating intuition into decision making. How can we as business leaders learn to trust our intuition without feeling like we're abandoning logic or reason?
You know, that is a fantastic question, particularly for us. I have this thing called the head, the heart, and the gut rule. And so when I am making decisions, all three parts have to align. And so intuition is something that we all have. We used to call it instincts. And I grew up on a ranch farm. My father was a rancher. And by the way, his joke used to be is we don't raise princesses here. We raise warriors. So if this gives you any idea about who I am. And the truth is that we always have to be focused on that feeling part of ourselves. So most people are so much in their head of programmed information from the world that they don't actually pay attention to any of the signals. So for generations and generations and generations before this one, people relied on their instinct. You could tell if someone was good or bad. You could tell if there was something wrong in the world, which made you pause and feel it. So the head, the heart, and the gut. So my head is, if I hear something, feel something, or see something that doesn't match what should match, I pay attention. And then my heart, I listen to, am I attracted to this? Does this feel true? Does it feel false? And usually if things feel true, I've learned to listen to my body, and it's like this expansion feeling. And then my gut is the true thing. By the way, there are more uh, blood vessels in your belly. It's also often called your second brain, and it should be, because it's actually more intentional and more clear than your actual brain. Because your brain is completely confused with the school teachings and the other people's opinions and, bullshit programming. But your gut, it doesn't care about any of that. It's like, that feels good. That doesn't feel good. Um, I'll give you an example everybody can appreciate. We're hiring people, and it's painful for us to hire people. Like, we want to hire them and you be up and running, and we don't want to train you, right? That's the truth. So you're hiring people, someone's resume is fantastic. It's so fantastic, you're reading it going, it's almost too good to be true. And your brain is going, oh, for the love of God, just hire this person, make this horrible experience of hiring people, gone. But your heart is not really into it. You don't feel all that great about it, but your gut is like, I'm not sure. I'm not feeling clear. Versus listening to that, a lot of us just march ahead and hire them. And then 3 weeks later, we are faced with, serious problems. I'm guilty of this. Everybody here is guilty of this. So I am going to ask you to just play a game with yourself occasionally about something that doesn't make any difference whatsoever. When I stand in front of elevators, and let's say there's three, I just kind of ask myself which elevator is coming next, just for fun. There's no skin in the game whatsoever, and it's shocking how I will pick the right elevator. And do things that you don't have, have a lot of money in. It's like, what's my intuition about this? And don't even call it intuition if that makes you uncomfortable. What's my instinct here? What is my natural, what am I gravitating towards? And so I know that you and I have had, some of the same people that we hang around. I've had some really strong instincts about certain people that they were my clients, and I've warned them about people who they're getting ready to go in business with. I'm saying, look, I'm just telling you, there's something wrong with this dude. I don't know what's wrong with this dude, but something's really wrong with this dude. Before you sign all those papers, you should really have a private investigator. You should find out how many times they've been sued. You should really investigate them, because all that glitters does not gold. Now, Seth, I actually created some enemies telling the truth about people,
I
but
bet.
eventually every single one of those people, I went on the line and said, hey, before you go in business with this person, by the way, they didn't listen to me for the most part. They went in business. One of them told me years later they lost $296,000 on one guy I
Wow.
told him not to do business with. Um, Dan Kennedy and I have been friends for many years. He calls me his intuitive person. Uh, and I'm just saying, you don't have to know exactly why something doesn't resonate with you to know that something is off. Give that credence that your body is a very powerful, intelligent system, and that if you give it permission, it will communicate with you. Um, Many years ago, I got into a cab. I remember it very clearly. And from the second I got in that cab, I knew something was desperately wrong. I wasn't in that cab a minute and a half before I jumped out, told the person, take my luggage out of the back. Um, it was actually in Chicago. And 2 weeks later, all these flight attendants started getting killed in these cabs. And now I cannot tell you it was the cab I got into, but I can tell you that instead of being nice, by the way, I've given up being nice. I'm not nice anymore. I'm a good person. There's a difference. Does that make sense?
It does.
So I'm a good person. So I jumped out of the cab, protect myself. The guy threatened me terribly, but I don't know if he was the guy, but all I know is my father trained me that the second I felt danger, leave. Leave right that minute, leave. And that is, I traveled all over the world as a landscape photographer. I got myself in all kinds of scrapes and jams. In fact, I even got arrested as a spy in Israel, which is another story. But I'm going to tell you that your intuition, if you give it time, It's like any other skill that you have, whether copywriting or speaking or writing or anything. If you pay attention to your intuition and give it permission and space in your life, you will have a better life because you'll listen to it.
Amen. You have achieved so much success in your own career and your own business and helped so many others. What's your biggest challenge now?
Well, let's see. My biggest challenge right now is deciding exactly what I want to do for the future. Because if you're not constantly scanning the landscape of the flow of energy that's going on, and okay, I've been a writer, I've got 17 books, I've had all these great stage experience. I did television for a long time. I've had this wild life. I like adventure. I traveled around the world. I've been a rock and roll disc jockey. I mean, I've had fun. And I'm summing up the the energetics of the universe of what is calling me next. Not that I won't do everything I still do, but every year I like to ask myself, what's the new adventure? So last week I pulled the plug on, I know you're just going to laugh about this, a podcast. You of all people. I have content, I have content businesses, they pay every month. So, doing something for free was like, so do I really want to do that? But yes, you do. You want to get your, world out there. I'm starting a new book. I never tell people exactly what the book is about because, as you know, it could start off one thing and turn up to be something else. But I'm just gonna, I'm I'm going to feel the energy of the world and see where the holes are that need to be filled that I have the talent to fill.
Awesome. What cause are you the most passionate about right now?
I am very passionate about animal rescue. Not me physically going out there and doing it, but actually, I'm really good at begging for money for this. I'm very good at going into institutions and asking for large amounts of money for particularly small rescuers who are not in big. Like, did you know in the SPCA that the CEO makes $7 million a year?
I did not know that.
It's very disturbing to me. Now, I know that a lot of entrepreneurs will say to me, well, what difference does it make? Well, I think if it's a rescue organization, I mean, could he live on 2 million? I'm not saying you shouldn't be paid, but 7 million, it made me really reconfigure how much money I'm giving to the SPCA. Now I'm going for small mom and pop organizations. I have about 19. I'm actually subsidizing little mom and pop organizations who live and breathe taking care of dogs, cats, horses, that sort of thing. So that's the thing I'm really excited about right now.
That is beautiful. Well, we know your time is incredibly valuable. We greatly appreciate you spending some of it with us. For our folks watching and listening who want to learn more, where is the best place for them to go to learn about all things Lee Milteer?
Okay, I'm prepared. Okay, you can find me at milteer.com, but I do have a free gift if it's okay.
Of
It's
course.
called 5typesofenergy.com. And the reason I want you to go there is it's 5 free videos that I created, and they're playing everywhere in churches and everywhere. It's mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial energy is our currency every day. And how you spend that energy every single day determines what you manifest, the life that you live. So, for instance, in your mental energy, what are you thinking? And how is that going to affect you in the future? And what are you attracting? What are you allowing in your environment? Like if you're allowing negative energy and negative people, then you're going to have a result. Emotionally, if you think about how you're controlling your emotions, that's controlling really your income. because your emotions, if you're not in a resourceful state of mind, you're in an unresourceful state of mind, which are repelling all kinds of prosperity from yourself. So mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial, like, how do you protect your money? How do you use your money? How do you use your influence? So it's just a reminder, since it's not taught in school anywhere, about that this is your currency in life every single day, how you communicate, how to rein that in. So the 5typesofenergy.com, Milteer.com, I'm easy to find. People
All right.
can find me.
Absolutely. This has been Seth Greene with Sharkpreneur with Lee Milteer. Lee, thanks again for joining us.
My dear pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lee, and thank you everybody for watching or listening. We'll talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.